Right now it's 6, La Crosse on the edge of losing SNAP funding and how it could impact local families. Plus, all Jo-Ann Fabric stores closing its doors today and what this means for its customers.
Watching WKBT La Crosse, this is News 8 Now at 6.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for News 8 Now at 6. I'm Emily Brown. Ken is off tonight. Thousands in La Crosse are on the brink of losing SNAP funding. It's if a bill in Washington goes through. So what are families supposed to do? News 8 Now's Allison Ferget has some answers.
Right now in Wisconsin, nearly 700,000 people rely on SNAP, known as food share in the Badger State. But under this new legislation, nearly 1/7 of those people could lose access to those benefits.
It's been absolutely critical for individuals in our county.
More than 10,000 La Crosse County residents use food share to help with grocery costs.
We are issuing almost $1.5 million a month in food share benefits. That goes to support not only those receiving the benefits, but also our community, our grocery stores.
But that could change with the federal budget reconciliation bill. The legislation would raise the work requirement from age 54 to 65. Those new work requirements would also extend to parents with kids older than 7. And parents with school-age kids will need to complete more paperwork to qualify.
There is a lot of administrative requirements for the program already. So obviously increasing any of that makes it more difficult for people to apply for our benefits.
Wisconsin's Department of Health Services says 90,000 Wisconsinites will be at risk of losing their benefits under the proposed changes. Graf says that means more people will turn to food pantries. In La Crosse, Wafer Food Pantry's executive director says if another 200 households start to use the pantry, it would put them in a critical spot.
The decrease in SNAP benefits, plus the unknowns of what's going to come in the state budget for support through the government commodities program, there's reason to be concerned. We always want to do what's best for the people that we serve, but ultimately, our best might look different.
Food Share is the only program La Crosse County has that assists with food. But if you lose your food share benefits, there are other programs that can reduce monthly costs.
We have other benefits. We determine eligibility for the medical assistance and Badger Care, child care assistance, and all of those programs.
The legislation has already passed in the U.S. House of Representatives and now sits in the hands of the U.S. Senate. Reporting in La Crosse, Allison Ferget, News 8 Now.
All right, thanks, Allison. Well, some travel alerts for motorists. Crews closing Theater Road near County Road PH in Onalaska. Construction on a new roundabout is underway. The road is closed from Midwest Drive to State Highway 16. You can take 16 and East Main Street to get around the work. The new roundabout should be done by August. On the south side, County Road GI is down to 1 lane as crews work on the Goose Island Bridge. The road will be down to 1 lane until next Monday if weather conditions allow.
Well, we had showers here today, just a light amounts of rainfall this morning with a lot of it further west of the area, but that's going to come back in this evening and then a better chance for more widespread precipitation coming into Wednesday. But overall, we had the highs back in the 60s, 70s as you go further south and east where they didn't have quite the rainfall, actually some breaks in the clouds, including Berry Sheen that got up to 71, but most areas were remaining in the 70s today. Overall, radar shows a lot of precipitation out there, but a lot of that is not quite reaching the ground, especially as you go east of the River Eau Claire up to Rusk County areas, not quite reaching the ground. But we'll see this continue to expand, kind of push east through the evening as this low that spins up in Minnesota begins to shift a little bit eastward or southeastward throughout the evening and overnight. So this evening we're going to see some precipitation out there, mainly west of the river, but areas east of the river could see occasional showers, especially further north you go to about 9 or 10 p.m. and then it kind of pushes off to the west. And for the most part, it's a quiet night until we get closer to the morning commute with temperatures lowering back tonight, really back into the 50s, which is kind of where we should be this too. So overall, mainly dry, but a few showers this evening. Later on, we're going to break down all the wet weather that's going to come through Wednesday and the drying conditions that are coming for Thursday, Friday, along with a lot of 80s. In fact, we might see some mid to upper 80s in the 8-day forecast, and I'll explain that later.
Ooh, upper is good. All right, thanks, Greg. La Crosse residents could soon see one of their bills double to over $100. The city says it has no choice. News 8 Now's Grace Monk is in the newsroom with more.
La Crosse residents could see stormwater fees double under a proposed rate increase. In order for that to happen, the city will need approval from the Common Council. La Crosse currently charges a quarterly rate of $13.48 per one equivalent runoff unit, or ERU. Under the proposal, the rate would increase to $29.66 per ERU, or $118.64 per year. The city says the rate hike is due to an increase in operating and capital budget costs. This includes things like cleaning storm drains, street sweeping, and flood prevention projects. If approved, it will be the first time the utility has increased since it was created in 2011.
That increase would usually be kind of incremental, but that wasn't the case. Water utility was kind of taking, compensating for what the storm utility was not bringing in.
If passed, the proposed increase would go into effect on July 1st. Residents would see that increase on their quarterly bill in October. The proposal will go before the Finance and Personnel Committee next Thursday. Common Council will have the final say at their meeting on June 12th. In the newsroom, Grace Monk, News 8 Now.
All right, thank you, Grace. Well, a popular fabric store is finally closing its doors. Today marks the final day for the Jo-Ann Fabrics. All 800 of its locations will close, including the Onalaska and Eau Claire locations. This comes after a second bankruptcy filing within a year. Customers say they'll miss visiting the store.
I remember when Jo-Ann's opened here, actually. I grew up in Pittsburgh, and I remember there always being Jo-Ann's around, and I saw this open and got so excited, and now it's sad to see, we're sad to see it go.
The store is open until 9 tonight. You can also pick up orders through tomorrow. Great Rivers United Way is launching another wave of its Impacts program. The nonprofit partners with local businesses to support organizations by assembling packs. Today, Dakota Supply Group is getting in on the action, assembling household item kits with dish soap sponges and cleaning items. The packs will benefit the Family and Children's Center, Coulee Cap, and the New Horizon Center.
So Impacts is a kit packing program of our United Way where our workplace partners can participate in volunteer activity where we're bringing the volunteer activity to them. And I'm always happy to work with the budget and vision that they see and get an event organized for them.
Local businesses interested in supporting the program can contact Great Rivers United Way for information. Coming up, the latest on Billy Joel as he continues treatment to fight a rare brain disorder, and why summer jobs might be a struggle to find this year when we come back. Three more inmates of the 10 that escaped a New Orleans jail have been captured. 2 escapees still remain at large. At least 13 people have been arrested in connection with the escape of the 10 inmates, including a maintenance worker at the jail who was accused of shutting off water to a cell that the inmates used in the escape by removing a toilet from the wall. Musician Billy Joel has canceled all scheduled concerts as he continues treatment to fight a rare brain disorder. The 76-year-old singer revealed last week that he's been diagnosed with a condition called normal pressure hydrocephalus, a buildup of fluid that puts pressure on brain tissue. Joel's team says his condition has been, quote, exacerbated by recent performances, leading to problems with hearing, vision, and balance.
It is fixable, but in terms of avoidable, the thing that causes it, often you don't know, it comes out of the blue. It could be in some people they have a history of past brain infection or bleeding. There's really nothing you can do to prevent it, but you can have a high level of suspicion and good communication with your healthcare provider.
In an Instagram post Monday, Joel's wife thanked fans for their love and support, saying, "We are so grateful for the wonderful care and swift diagnosis we received." Well, teens who haven't landed a summer job yet, you're not alone, and adults should know it may not be a lack of effort. Karen Kafa is in Washington with a look at why summer jobs are a struggle this season.
Teens are finding the summer jobs market isn't so hot. Employment firm Challenger Gray and Christmas forecast teens will see the lowest number of summer jobs added since 2010. At the same time, Indeed hiring lab economist Allison Srivastava sees more demand for those summer roles.
There is more interest in summer jobs than we have seen in previous years. So there is going to be some more competition.
Challenger Gray and Christmas says businesses may hold off on summer hiring as tariff whiplash fuels economic uncertainty, with the possibility of higher costs for goods and concerns about consumers pulling back, especially in areas like travel and tourism that typically staff up with young seasonal workers. Shrivastava says their data shows businesses not really shedding employees, but also not eager to hire.
People are kind of frozen in place. It's a little bit of a deer in the headlight situation. So there's only so long that can go on for before, people have to start making business decisions, especially in those more short-run markets like summer jobs.
Areas where jobs do remain available are tried and true in-person summer gigs like offices that need administrative help and camps and recreation.
We haven't seen really a shift in necessarily the jobs that people are hiring for the summer, more of just like an overall decline. It's still very much camp counselors is a big one, lifeguards, things like that.
In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
Still to come, a dust storm putting areas of Australia into a severe weather warning.
And we have showers continuing for Wednesday with some more rain, but we do have drier conditions for the end of the work week, and it looks like the weekend's going to be a dry one once again. We'll break down what that means for temperatures coming up on your First Warn Weather Update after the break.
Expect more from News 8 Now. Thanks for watching.
Well, red dust swallowed parts of South Australia as wild winds whipped up dirt across the state. The dust storm causing an intense red haze. A severe weather warning was issued for much of southeast Australia, with reports of gusty winds reaching up to 78 miles per hour. Looks like a scene on Mars right there. Well, our dry streak came to an end today with some showers and a little cool down, but we're warming back up. Greg, when can we expect that to happen?
We'll be warming up a little bit here, but we still have some showers to deal with and some wet conditions for Wednesday. A little bit of a better chance you're going to see rainfall, at least a little bit more on Wednesday than we saw today, but still very light amounts compared to what we saw last week. So there's still that shower activity this evening, but mainly west of the river, a little bit isolated as you go further east, then fairly quiet overnight. Really looks like wet commutes for both morning and evening, especially the morning one, and further south you go, better shot. You're going to see those wet conditions and then a few showers off and on throughout the rest of the daytime. 70s back Thursday, 80s pretty much Friday, and for the most part 80s in the weekend. There'll be a few areas that cool back down to the 70s Saturday, and I'll explain why. But overall, a dry weekend, a little better than actually we had for Memorial Day temperature-wise. Here's all the activity for this evening. A lot of it's going to be further west, further east to go. It's going to struggle to actually reach the ground, mainly just cloud cover, but you still might see a few showers, kind of as you see everything kind of rotating back to the northwest around the low. So you'll see this activity eventually get further enough west by 9 to 10 p.m. that will be mainly dry for the rest of the night as temperatures continue to lower back into the 50s. Precipitation-wise, we're not going to see much in the way until we get a little bit later, like 3 to 4 in the morning. You start seeing a little bit of this shower activity once again pop up for some areas, not widespread by any nature, and then it becomes a little bit more widespread as we go towards the morning commute, especially further south you go towards I-90 and southward. So a general light rain that'll come through the area probably between about 6 to 9 a.m. and then push east throughout the rest of the time frame. Once we get past about 10, 11, it's more scattered in nature once again, kind of like we saw today too, and that'll continue through the evening commute. Actually even could see a few thunderstorms in the afternoon given the instability, but then it'll be more scattered for the evening commute. So I don't think that'll be as wet as we saw for the morning, but still you might see a few showers out there. That'll persist for another few hours. And that's really about it then for the precipitation. For the amounts, this really will depend on if we get some of those thunderstorms like tomorrow, as you see kind of the indicating 1 year precedent. That's why the amounts get a little bit higher than a ½ inch. But generally everyone's going to be around 1/4 inch with higher amounts west of the river. Once again, if you get on a thunderstorm, you might pick up a little bit more. Tomorrow's highs back in the 60s, more cloud cover, a little bit higher as you go further north, given the less opportunity to see more widespread rainfall. Further south you go, as you saw Viroqua in those areas, struggling to get into the low 60s because of that rain that continues a little bit longer, or at least more of it. Thursday, you'll see going into Thursday, we have precipitation in the evening, but getting back in the 50s. It should be dry for the rest of the night. Thursday, cloud cover, but we'll see more sun in the afternoon. We'll get back up in the 70s, maybe in a few upper 70s. Friday, even better, 80s, more sun. A little breezy in the afternoon because we do have a cold front that's going to be coming through some point Saturday morning. And you can see on Saturday, it kind of swings down from the northeast to southwest. And that you can see where the temperatures drop a few degrees, especially as you go further north. So Saturday, you might not see 80, but it won't be a huge change. But you will see a little bit of cooler air coming behind that. And then we'll flip the switch. Next week, here's some heat potential to the south we'll have to keep an eye on, but we also have an opportunity for some heavier rainfall next week, so we'll have to keep an eye on that too. As you see, the temperatures next week get all the way into the mid-80s, potentially upper 80s, and then it gets active after Tuesday with that heavy rain potential. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Otherwise, Friday through the weekend, it could be another great weekend, just a few degrees warmer than we saw from Memorial Day.
Yeah, looks like it.
Yep.
All right, let's hope it stays that way right there. All right, thanks, Greg. Coming up next in sports, the Timberwolves now need 3 wins in a row after a crushing 2-point loss last night. Plus, it's the home opener for the Lacrosse Loggers tonight. Hear from a former local standout pitcher. Jacob is next.
Covering all the exciting action from your community. Here's News 8 Now Sports with Jacob Lenzendorf.
A lot of postseason play getting underway tonight. Jam-packed night of action across the state, but on the softball diamond, some area teams are at home looking to advance to Thursday. Some of the games in the neighborhood tonight, including the Holman Vikings looking for their first win in 10 days, hosting Baraboo. Meanwhile, Onalaska hoping to keep the good times rolling, make it 6 wins in a row, welcoming DeForest. West Salem and their stud Josie Brudos have some big goals for the playoffs. They've got Platteville, and GET will look to knock out Aquinas. Those games, of course, underway already, and we'll have some highlights and scores later at 10. But in just about 10 minutes, the Loggers will have their home opener at Copeland Park. It is the 23rd year of Northwoods League baseball in lacrosse, and excitement is high after a spectacular 2024 campaign where the Loggers made it all the way to the championship game before falling to Kalamazoo. Lacrosse opened up their season on the road last night and picked up a 6-5 win over Rochester. Former Bangor standout pitcher Ashton Mitchek used to come to a bunch of games at the Lumberyard as a kid, and now he's in his 3rd season with the ball club.
Yeah, I came to a lot of games as a kid. It was obviously awesome to watch as a little kid. You know, everybody's really, really good, and, you know, just to have that full circle moment, you know, now I'm playing here and doing the same thing for other little kids, and, you know, it's awesome that feeling. We get to, you know, be a role model and inspiration to a bunch of little kids in lacrosse. So.
Mitchek is listed as the probable starter tonight for the contest, with the Honkers' first pitch scheduled for 6:35. Meanwhile, backs are against the wall for the Timberwolves after a loss last night in Game 4, as Minnesota is now down 3-1 in the series. The T-Wolves had a chance late, but the Thunder just executing down the stretch a little bit better. Now the series will shift back to OKC, and Minnesota will need a good start to give themselves a chance.
We just got to be ready to play. I mean, at home they start super well, so we got to withstand their little run at the beginning, but we just got to come to play and just got to play tougher, play stronger, and just hold them to one shot.
And just 13 teams have come back to win the series from down 3-1 in NBA history. Last one to do it was the Denver Nuggets back in 2020. It was close last night. I heard you guys were watching.
We were, yeah,
very close,
I know, very close. And they'll be number 14, right?
Let's hope. Let's hope they make some history, because, I mean, that would be quite the feat, but uphill battle for sure. But that game tomorrow. But looking forward to following the Loggers this summer as well.
They're playing the Honkers, which I learned is a bird.
It is a goose, I believe, is the mascot.
Oh, a goose.
So,
honk, honk.
because
okay,
they,
I get
they
that.
make the honking noise. So learn something new every day, right?
Okay, yeah, I know. All these like minor league teams or intercollegiate. What is it?
Northwoods League.
Northwoods League.
Yeah, very different.
These are different mascots for sure. All right, Greg has a final look at your forecast right after this.
All right, we'll have a few showers this evening, mainly west of the Mississippi, but there could be isolated ones further east. Then quiet mainly after midnight, getting back to the low 50s. The rain comes back in for the morning commute. That looks wet. Drying out Thursday, and we look like 80s come back for most of the weekend, minus that cool down a little bit on
But
Saturday.
everyone for tonight should be okay at the Loggers game. Not too much rain,
little sprinkles
right?
or showers.
Little
but nothing too
sprinkles
big.
won't hurt you. All right, thanks.